All right. Obviously, got a big week in front of us. Got to get ready for the Giants. We got a lot of work to do as far as that's concerned. Just with the roster here, a couple updates. I told you guys about Carry On, obviously, yesterday, going to IR. We elevated Paul Perkins to the 53, so that'll help us there with the running back spot, and then signed Wes Hills back to the practice squad. So it kind of help us there with all those situations. Obviously last night with the roster, had a trade with Seattle and sent Quandre Diggs to Seattle for, draft pick. And, certainly those decisions are very difficult. They're not taken lightly. There's certainly, things that we try to do to help the team get better in the long run for us. And certainly in a situation where, we think moving forward, hopefully we have some players that can still help us, even if we have to or do make a move, like we did yesterday. So those other guys are going to have to step up. They're going to have to go play and try to, do everything they can to help us to win. But the team's got to push forward and get ready for the Giants. Certainly, Diggs been a part of our team for a while and great person and all that, and wish him the best of luck. But in the end, just trying to do everything we can to help our team going forward. That's really kind of the bottom line. So,
Matt, it's obviously part of the business, but there was a reaction, obviously, from the players, frustrated. They obviously really cared about having us as a teammate. What's your philosophy on, selling that? Like you just said, this is the best for the team, and taking that frustration and turning it into something positive.
Yeah, that's always the challenge. I think, in the NFL in general, really in sports or business, we're all in situations where we have friends or people we're really close with that are either no longer, working with us or whatever the situation is, and those situations we just really got to focus on making sure that we're doing everything possible to help ourselves and help the team win from that aspect of it, and doing everything that we can to do our jobs better, first and foremost. But you hate to see those situations when they come up, but you get it, you understand that people are trying to do what they think is best going forward, and you respect that, and you just go back to work. That's really kind of the bottom line. And again, for us, the great thing about football is it is about relationships, and there's a lot of those relationships that, change from a day-to-day relationship to now it's a, hey, when I call you or when I see you or whatever it is, but those bonds, those connections are still always strong, and that's the best part about this game. When you spend that much time with each other and that much invested with each other, that's what makes it so strong, so special.
And you're still in the mix for playoffs down the line, obviously, in the thick of things. When you trade a starter like Diggs, it speaks volume to the depth you feel like you have behind him. Can you just speak to the depth you have at the safety spot and the comfort level you have there?
Yeah, I think for us, we're trying to win every single week. We got a huge challenge in front of us with the Giants coming up. But I think those guys in the back end have all really been working hard and developing, and some of those guys have had to really play in the last couple weeks and in some of those bigger games that we've had so far this year. Will Harris is certainly someone that's had to step into some roles. Tracy Walker plays more for us in some of those roles. Tavon Wilson, who's been a good solid player for us for a long time. CJ Moore, you'll see him. He's been mixed out there actually in some of these games too, in some other aspects. And we have some depth too, guys that have played for us in the past. Killebrew would be another one. So with those guys, they'll continually push to get better. And they understand that, maybe they have to take on a little bit more workload or whatever job responsibility it is. But I think they're good with that challenge. They'll accept that challenge and kind of go forward from there. So, for us, we're just trying to do everything we can to put a good product out in the field this week and try to win.
When you guys trade a starter for a draft pick, it certainly looks like a long-term move as opposed to a short-term move. Has anything changed with your short-term goals with this team right now?
Nope. We're short-term. We're trying to do.
Not just looking to the future.
No, I mean, that's always, I think, the hard balance, in the NFL, whether it's in season, off season, in the draft, when you make decisions like that, when you're trying to build a team, you are always trying to balance, decisions that are good now versus decisions that are good for long term. But in the current moment, we're always about competing and trying to do everything we can to win. So that never changes, and really for us, in this world of the NFL, you're always alert for guys. Look, they might be injured. Guys might not be out there anyways. In some of those situations, and everybody that's developing and playing behind those guys, that's what really makes your team strong and makes your team hopefully resilient through those situations. So you try to put all that into play and decide if those decisions can be good ones for you going forward and also in the short term.
Miles Killebreau's kind of been kind of a forgotten man, if you will, on defense. Could this be an opportunity for a guy like that too?
Yeah, I have a lot of confidence in Miles. I thought he did a really good job in training camp, and I honestly think he did a really good job in preseason. He showed up a lot for us. He's certainly someone that's doing a lot for us currently on game day on special teams. We've just had some, very fortunate that we've had some depth at some of those safety linebacker positions and some of those packages. So far, we've had some guys out there playing, and he hasn't had a lot of time on defense, but he's a guy that I do have high confidence in. If he has to go out and play a role, that he'll do it at a high level just because of the work that he did through the spring, through training camp, and through those preseason games. I thought he really made himself better.
Last year you had Glover at that safety spot, obviously, in Quandre. Now you mentioned Tavon's still there, but very young at that position. Just what are the challenges, particularly there, having so many young guys in the line?
I would say that's probably the biggest challenge for us, and especially as we go through the season and we're starting to see different looks or multiple looks from teams, and especially good quarterbacks and good offensive schemes. Just the experience part of it, those guys are going to have to catch up on that stuff really quick. The good thing for us is Tracy played in a lot of critical situations last year. He played in those maybe situations that you don't have an opportunity during the game to talk about. They happen and you have to react to them. So his ability to be able to communicate with the lesser experienced guys that are on the field maybe at that time, and certainly Tavon, someone that has great experience, playing this game and can see those situations happen pretty quick. So we'll rely on those guys, and we're just going to have to keep coaching to make sure we put them in as many of those situations as possible during practice and be alert and aware for those to come up.
What have you seen from Will Harris specifically over the 6 games that you should think you can maybe take on a little bit bigger?
Yeah. Will obviously played a lot of football for us here through Kansas City and Green Bay, and those are two really, really difficult quarterbacks to play against. And I think he did a really good job of understanding the roles that we needed him and how we needed him to play. Certainly in the back end, those guys can have different assignments based on maybe the other team's personnel. And I think he did a good job of kind of taking all that in and understanding what he was going to have to do, and just his work ethic, the way he approaches it, the way he's been consistent, has allowed him to improve through the course of the season. He's got a long way to go. He's got a lot of work to do. But he also, I think, has a skill set that we haven't really tapped into yet, too. There's some other things that I think he can do to help us, and, we'll see if given that opportunity, if he can, perform at a high level with that, too. He's an instinctual player, especially when he's down close to the line of scrimmage. So, we'll see if he has any opportunity to show us that also.
What's your level of concern at this point? I mean, it's the second year in a row you guys have traded away a player that both the public and locker room seems to really rally around.
Yeah.
And the results weren't there last year. You've lost 3 in a row. What's your level of concern that you kind of have to win now? Otherwise, the players might not.
I think for us right now, the players are pretty consistent with, we got to go back to work and we got to win. We know that, that doesn't change no matter what happens with the roster or with injuries or with any of it. And for those guys in there, I think they all have trust and faith in each other that are in that room that, for us, it's not going to be about one person. It's going to be about the team. And it's going to be about all the team playing together and quite frankly, really playing complementary football, and that's what we have to do, especially if there's an area week by week, we could have an injury. We could have something come up that a player is not available, and other phases or other positions might have to step up and compensate for that. So it's no different in these situations, and we all understand that it is a team game where we all got to go win together. And like I mentioned, I got to make sure I'm coaching at the highest level that I can coach at to help the team try to win.
As fans become smarter, they start digging into the business elements of football. I just wondered, how do you address, I guess, the contract ramifications, the money spent, a guy you just signed to an extension, and trading him and kind of eating a financial hit? Just what's the thought process there?
Yeah, certainly that's something that, Bob and his staff do a good job of understanding, the risks and kind of how all that works. Sometimes those situations are depending on where we are at with the younger players that are behind them and what is the cost analysis based on that. And also, what is the compensation and what does that look like for us long term based on what do we have for trying to build the team in the future. And as we kind of try to push into making sure that we're continually trying to keep getting better, and laying more foundation and getting good players in here and getting guys that, that we can build with and what is that cost versus, what do we get back? So we do try to put all that into play. Yep.
The Patriots had the opportunity to play the Giants earlier on Thursday Night Football. What aspects of that defense and performance could be useful to you as you play a common opponent?
Yeah, you always try to look at games that look similar from that aspect of it. One of the things I definitely try to do though is look at that game as an individual game and see what happened. If you look at that, there's probably a few pieces missing from the Giants' offense from that aspect of it. There's a pretty strong wind in that game going from left to right on the field that really I think affected a lot of the plays downfield. Certainly from that aspect of it too. So you want to look at all of it that you can analyze and see if there's anything there, but no different than the Redskins or anybody else they played. There's elements that you always try to look at, and really the biggest thing for us, I think that's going to be a challenge is this will probably be the first time that this offense is going to be all out there together. They have so many good players with the young quarterback. They can get all those guys on the field. And when they're all out there together, the problems that they create are really, it's going to be a difficult task for us on top of, just the run game with Barkley. I mean, that's hard enough to deal with. And now you got to deal with Ingram at the tight end position because he's going to come back, or, Shepard who's outside and Golden Tate in the slot. And I mean, there's just so many elements to this that for the first time, unfortunately, we're not going to have a chance to see it on film before we prepare. We're going to have to react to it when it happens on the field because they haven't even seen it yet on game day. And so, we get to deal with it first.
You guys?
What you got, man?
I guess one thing regarding what you just said. Is there anything, about the inexperience of a quarterback and all that, but is there any advantage a rookie quarterback has early in the season? It's an interesting question. I would say I think there are. I think there are advantages. I think, defensively, you certainly there's an unknown element that you have to deal with, and I would say from a film study part of it too, I think for the players it's harder to kind of prepare for those guys. Now there's certain things you try to do to help yourself, but quarterbacks or other positions, maybe it's wide receivers, but especially quarterbacks because obviously they control so much from the ball and the offense. I think sometimes that is more difficult than a guy that maybe you've got 10 years worth of film on and really exactly what kind of a player he is. It's sometimes a little bit more difficult to kind of deal with those other guys that are a little bit unknown. Sure.
One more real quick.
Yeah.
Just Golden Tate, first time we're going to see him, obviously, since the trade last year. They used him different. How was he different than
there's some definitely things on tape that you see that are still explosive as far as what they're doing with them. He caught the vertical one against New England, but it's still a lot of the same, just really good run after catch, get open, catch the ball, and extremely difficult to tackle. I mean, he's got to be one of the toughest guys in the NFL to tackle. I mean, his ability to make guys miss, and he's so smooth with the ball that really that's a major issue. And he's returning punts, which is probably the only thing that's maybe majorly different from us. So, okay.
Thank you. Our role, so whatever happens in the front office, that's what happens.
Can you help people understand that a little bit more though? Because most people, fans, whoever else, you kind of look at it and you're like, oh shit, I can't believe this happened. And for you guys, it's just another day. It's just part of the business. I mean, how do you?
I mean, again,
how do you ignore the personal side of it.
It just goes back to it's a business. At the end of the day, you're gonna build relationships with people throughout the NFL. But just because they go to a different team doesn't mean you still can't be friends with them. Doesn't mean you can hang with them in the off season. It's just, it's a business. That's the business aspect of it, and you can have your feelings connected to it. Like I said, just because Condre's gone, I wish him the best, but at the end of the day, I got to focus on what the Detroit Lions got going on right now. So right now, I'm preparing for the New York Giants.
But he was a starter, obviously good enough player to be a starter in the secondary. You trade one of your starters, one of your best players. Just
I feel like that is a Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia question that you should be asking him.
It maybe is. I mean, but I don't know. They can't speak to what message it sent to the locker room. You're in the locker room, so what message?
I'm not going to speak on what goes on in the locker room. What goes on in the locker room stays on in our locker room. I mean, we're a team and we keep stuff as a team, so I ain't finna go and get into all that.
Can I ask you a Giants question?
A couple more, guys.
What's up?
You've covered a lot of tight ends this year. It's kind of been your role. I don't know if it's going to be continued, but if you have to cover Evan Ingram, what are the unique challenges he presents?
He's definitely athletic. He's a great receiver. I mean, he's physical. He's a dynamic, elite guy. I mean, he's just as good as any other tight end in the league, and he's just one of the top 5. So, like I said, you just got to come with the same approach and understand that everybody has skill sets that they're great at, and everybody has weaknesses. And, you just got to capitalize and go out there with that approach.
They keep those microchips on you and track your speed. I think at one point he was like the fastest player in the NFL, ran the fastest route or something. When you're covering that kind of speed, what do you have to do differently? What's your focus?
I tell you what, when Sunday comes, I'm going to show you.
I just have one other trade thing. So you were here last year, obviously, when Golden got traded.
Right.
And you guys ended up losing, I think it was 6 of 9 after Golden was traded.
Mm-hmm.
So did that move, what impact did that move have on the locker room?
Again, I don't get into all that. That's a logistics front office question. That ain't for me to be getting involved in, because, like I said, that's above my pay grade. As long as my fingerprint works and I'm doing my job and I'm still here, that's all that matters. So, I control what I control.
People weren't angry about it, though? People weren't mad? There was nothing? Players, that is?
I mean, I'm not speaking on that. I just told you that's what the locker room, what goes on in this locker room stays in the locker room. So I ain't going to speak on what goes on.
Thanks,
Thank y'all.
It's tough decisions in this league are made every day. It's a tough one. Obviously, he was a really good teammate of mine, a good buddy of mine, great player for us. Those decisions happen. And, I talked to him yesterday, and, it was good to talk to him and see where he was at. But, it's tough. He was a guy in our locker room that a lot of guys, really enjoyed to be around. You guys were around him. I mean, you guys know he was a good guy to be around. Just wish him, nothing but the best of luck and hopefully a ton of success in Seattle.
Is there a double hit personality and production on the field, too? A guy who's that well-liked? Got to make up for it in 2 areas?
Yeah, I mean, I think, he's a guy that obviously, produced on the field for us for quite a few years, and then obviously a guy that was comfortable here and had a great personality with the guys, in the locker room and everything. So, he'll be missed for sure.
As one of the leaders on this team, how do you go about resetting this locker room with 3-game losing streak? You lose Quandre, you lose Carry-On. How do you go about resetting this locker room going forward?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you just got to pick up and go. It's the only thing you can do. If you sit there and think about what happened 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, last week, or yesterday, it's not really doing you much good. You got to move on and go. Not to say that we don't appreciate those guys or learn from those games, but you got to pick up and go, and you got to move on to the next one. And I think we did a good job of that today. Obviously, it's the start of our practice week today, and our guys were out there focused and ready to go.
You guys have seen a bunch of loaded boxes, with the emphasis on the running game this year and Carry-On. Without Carry-On, do you think that the way defenses play you will change? Do you think you get different looks?
We'll see. I'm not sure. I think in some instances defenses just kind of do what they do. And in other instances, maybe they're game planning for a player. So, we'll kind of have to see on that.
How do you make up for a guy who takes the majority of snaps? In other words, you got to feel with Carry-On. How do you make up for that if you can? Like committee or?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the next guy up. It's going to take all the guys that we have. It usually does every week. Carry-On definitely, was a big part of our offense, took a bunch of carries. But those other guys have experience as well. Either with our team or with another team in the same offense. So, it's something we'll have to deal with. We're going to try to get as many reps as we possibly can in practice with these guys and get them ready to go, and then go out there and play well.
Early in your career, you dealt with some significant injuries yourself. Carry-On's a young guy. It's 2 straight years for him dealing with some tough injuries.
Mm-hmm.
What's important for a young player to learn how to deal with that and get through that in their career?
Yeah, I know. For me, it's I had the 2 tough ones early. Didn't get to play a whole lot of games, and the thing for me was it's not like the injuries stopped. It's just I kind of either number one, got lucky and could play through most of the other ones, and kind of learned how to manage my body throughout the week. And that's a different process for everybody in really every different position. I can't imagine what it's like to play running back in this league and feel the way he feels on a Monday. So, I know he'll work as hard as he possibly can to be back, when he's ready and feeling right. But it's tough. I think the biggest thing is you just got to stay positive and know you've played this game for a long time and understand that you can get it done. You just got to, got a little bit unlucky.
the hopes for you were sky high, obviously being the number 1 overall pick. Hopes have been pretty high for him too. Is there a difference as far as like how to deal with the emotional part of it, where fans are wondering if you're, you know, whatever, injury prone, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you know, I think the biggest thing is, like I said, is just staying positive, having a good group of people around you. I know this locker room really supports him and believes in him. You know, we understand it's tough. Injuries happen in this league, and sometimes they come in bunches, and sometimes they don't. So, you know, we support him. I know I do, and I still believe in the guy. He's a heck of a player when he's out there. So, just wish him all the luck in his faster recovery as he can do it.
Guys you see when they're on IR, even veterans, they feel like they're not part of the team anymore. They're sort of separate from the team. Is that trying to keep the guy a part of the team in any way you can?
Yeah, no question. Try to keep him involved as much as you can. Obviously, there's limitations on what he's allowed to do and what he's what he can and can't do. So, but every time we get the chance to run into him, I saw him the other day. Made sure I spoke to him, and I mean, he's just an enjoyable guy to be around. I like being around Carry On, so anytime I see him, we'll say what's up. But I think the biggest thing for him at this moment is just to make sure that he's doing everything he can to get healthy and feel right.
You didn't have Golden Tate when you were a rookie, but do you think that there's something about the way he plays that helps Jones, a rookie, out for the Giants, kind of a security blanket for him early in his career?
He's a guy that can turn a short one into a long one real quick, which is nice as a quarterback to be able to, once every 2 or 3 games throw a 8-yard pass that goes for 40. That feels pretty good. Kind of puts a little bit of wind in the sail. So Golden's a veteran guy. He understands the game. Obviously really dangerous with the ball in his hand, and obviously has made some plays down the field too. I mean, you look at the New England game, made a great play down the field. So I'm sure he's doing everything he can to help and bring along Jones.
We've talked about big matchups for the point now. It's a big game. You just have to win a game now, no matter who it is or what it is. I mean, you can't get too far behind. Really.
I mean, that's the scenario every week, right? Every week when we step out there, it's go win the game. We work long hours and extremely hard to go out there and win, and we don't go out there just to play well or get close. We want to win the game, and as the deeper the season gets. The more important they come, but they all count.
They all count, but you can't get too far behind. In other words, you can get, that's the point.
Yep, they all count.
That's sort of the deeper thing you mentioned. Deeper.
We're not deep thinkers. Football players.
We're deeper thinkers.
Just kidding.
Lepers.
Anything else?
Anything from on field, fundamentals or techniques to stuff off the field. I would always go to those guys. Him, Tavon, Tracy, Mel, Slay. You got all these guys, man, who are always willing to to help. Especially this being my rookie year. I mean, I'll take it wherever I can get it.
Does this week feel different at all, knowing that you could have a potentially bigger role heading into the week and not so much a reactionary one like Kansas City?
To be honest with you, I just try to prepare for every game and prepare for every week the same way, so that when my number is called, if my number is called, I'll be ready. So I try to prepare, as if I was a starter. I try to prepare, as if my number can get called. So when it does get called, I'm not surprised. I can just go in and try to execute and perform for this team.
Well, everybody has these welcome to the NFL moments. Was this a welcome to the NFL moment in terms of this is a business, and I mean things like this can happen for you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've been counting off season too. I've been here since in the NFL officially since May. So it's just another thing that comes with the job. It's just me coming in here, and I try to be honest, me being a rookie, I just come in and try to focus on the things I could do to help this team get better, and that starts with me coming in and focus on the fundamentals and techniques for myself to get better, so I can help the team.
Does it feel like an endorsement of your own game when they move on from something like Quandre and open a bigger opportunity for you?
I can't say for sure. Like I said. I just try to, control what I can control, and that's, trying to be a better Will Harris every week and try to contribute to the team and just get better at something every week. So
I'm curious how you heard about the trade and what your initial reaction was to the news.
Obviously, things get spread out on social media rather quickly. Rather quickly these days. but we have we do have a defensive back group chat and the whole nine. So we just reached out to him and wished him the best of luck at his next destination. So obviously we all had love for Quandre. That speaks for itself, but at the end of the day, we control what we can control, and that's coming in here and working every day.
Your coach was pretty complimentary of the job that you did coming in after the injury against Kansas City, and then how well you played in Green Bay. I'm just curious what that experience was like for you, coming out there against Patrick Mahomes, right, and playing all those snaps. Really, your first big, right,
right.
Snap load in the NFL. What was that like for you, and maybe why did you play as well as you did?
To be honest, from the outside looking in, before you play these guys, you kind of have a certain, especially as a rookie, you kind of have it has a certain stigma to it to play, such and such, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, whatever. But, after all the film study you do throughout the week and after all the work you put in during the week, and you get the game day and, we're just playing football. So, that's how I treat it. It's just, going out and playing football and trying to make plays for this team.
Matt said you had a skill set that maybe they haven't tapped into yet just because, you haven't played enough snaps or somebody else has been in that role. What do you think we haven't seen from you yet that maybe he was alluding to, or you think you can show that you haven't shown yet?
That's a good question. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not sure. With that being said, I do whatever they tell me to do. Whether it's on defense, special teams, whatever. I come in, lock in, do what I'm told, study the game plan for the week, and try to execute as best I can, for this team.
So a few pick sixes.
A couple more guys.
What's up?
So a few pick sixes is pretty much.
Well, as a DB, that's always, you're always reaching for those. So.
Just one thing that's with the with the preseason games, it's like your 11th game. Does it feel like you've already been through a college season already? In terms of just the length of what you've been doing.
Right. I mean, it definitely, racks up on you. At the end of the day, I mean, we're here to play football. This is something I've always wanted to do my whole life. I mean, I love playing football. I love being in this facility. So I come to work every day with the same attitude. It doesn't matter, what week it is. And so as long as they keep lining us up, I'll keep playing. So, it's, at this point, and then you hear about things like, from guys like, hitting the wall.
Sure.
There's no wall. There's no wall. I'm ready to play football.
Knock on wood, right?
Right.
Right now, I'm really just focused on the Giants, so we're about preparing for them, getting ready for a good team coming here. So,
Just part of being a professional, you just have to learn to move on no matter what happens and how you feel about it personally.
Yeah, I mean, I worry about what I can control, and that's just getting ready to play football.
But you are one of the team leaders, you're a team captain. I guess I'm curious how you handle this with your teammates. Like, how do you guys address this, or maybe move forward, turn the page?
There's a lot of business aspect that go into this game too. So a lot of things that we really can't control, and one way or another, whether we like it or not, we have to, formulate a team with an identity, and then the guys that are on the field. So. Like I said, I can only worry about really what I can control. So.
Does trading a player that is a team captain, doesn't that kind of hurt your identity or change your identity, though?
I mean, I don't make those decisions. So, I know Diggs is a good football player, and he's a good teammate. So, for that, I'm thankful that I got to play with him, and with whatever they decide,
Right, but you just said, it's part of forging identity of people on the field, and
yeah.
it's part of, he seemed to be a pretty big part of this locker room, and the identity. So I was wondering how that changes.
Again, I can only worry about what I can control. So.
You were part of some of these trades in New England. You were there when Chandler Jones or maybe Jimmy Collins got dealt. What would you learn from that experience? I guess just being a younger player in the league and adjusting on the fly to I guess a bigger roster change.
I'm just focused on playing the Giants right now. I really don't have time to think about what happened 3 or 4 years ago and how it relates to this year. It's business, so that's part of the NFL.
Obviously a difficult situation moving the family in this time of year, so you feel for those guys, but you also talk to those guys and see how they're feeling and what type of mood they're in, and just kind of try to move on from it.
What sort of mood was he in when you talked to him?
Obviously bittersweet, you know what I mean? You're moving from a team that he's been with the past 5 years, going to a new team, but he's excited about it, so I'm excited for him, and we've moved on as a team.
Were you surprised that the move happened?
I think in this league you can't be surprised by anything. You know, they're working hard daily to try to make the team better, trying to do whatever they can to win games, so you can't really be surprised by anything that happens.
Has the dynamic in the room changed at all?
I wouldn't say the dynamic changed. Obviously, we notice he ain't there, but we got a great room, great group of guys, some young guys that's real attentive and things like that. So I wouldn't say the room has changed at all.
You guys got a second-year guy in Tracy out there, first-year guy in Will. You're the veteran of the group at this point without Quandre. You lost Glover, obviously, earlier this year, too. I mean, do you move into a more of a leadership role? Do you maybe change that in any way?
I've always tried to take on a leadership role, no matter, first year, second year as a safety. You got to kind of take on that role no matter what kind of come with the territory. So I've always tried to be the best leader I could be for this football team as long as I've been here, and I'll continue to do that.
You said you weren't surprised, and I do understand the business aspect of it, but he was a starter, I mean, like, it's different than the 53rd guy getting cut. That still doesn't shock you at all.
I mean, he wasn't cut, he was traded.
Yeah, no, I know.
But I've seen guys that's, starters get traded, you know what I mean? All pro guys get traded. I mean, I've been around a lot of different guys that come and go, so nothing really surprises me.
There was one last year here, obviously, Golden getting traded. What impact did that have in the locker room after the trade? The Golden trade last year?
I would say that guys, accept it as the business standpoint. Control what you can control. Those things are out of our control. And so as soon as you start worrying about those things, then oops, touchdown gone over your head. So you try to do the best you can to control those things. Obviously, it's a human nature part of it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you got a job to do as well.
What are your thoughts on going against Tate?
It's exciting. Obviously, when you get an opportunity to go against a teammate that's a good football player, I'm sure he'll be juiced up on Saturday, and we'll be juiced up too.
See that kind of vouching for you and maybe the other safeties play that they were able to make a trade like that? Do you look at it in that way that maybe that speaks to how they feel about you guys?
I try not to look at it too much, you know what I mean? Whatever, I just roll with the punches, man. Try to be the best player I could be every day, be accountable to my teammates, to my coaches, and I still continue to be that way.